This video is a free preview lesson from my Your First Novel program, which you can get at the link in the video description. So please enjoy the video. I'll have more information about the program at the end of the video. The method that you use to write your first novel is likely going to be different from the method that you use to write your second, third, or 10th novel. As a writer, how you approach your projects will evolve through time. You'll adjust as you learn what works and what doesn't work for you. But what if you haven't written a novel before, which I imagine is most of you watching this? How do you decide how to do it if you've never done it? One of the first decisions you need to make when writing your novel is whether you're going to pants or outline. Both methods can work, and unless one of them really doesn't appeal to you, I would recommend trying both at some point in your writing journey. Pantsers love discovering their story as they write it. They let the writing take them down interesting paths as they explore the twists and turns of their story as it comes together. For them, the thought of pre-planning their story zaps all the creativity away. They would get no joy from the process. Plotters, on the other hand, like to know where they're going. They feel that they can write better when they know where the story is headed, perhaps taking some comfort in potentially heading off some problems before they creep in. Now, many writers do incorporate some pantsing elements into their process. Many plotters do free writing sessions where they experiment with characters or different story elements before they start actually writing their story, and perhaps even before they begin outlining. One place where plotters can get stuck is in the plotting itself. If you are really intent on getting every aspect of your story figured out before you start drafting, then there's the potential to get stuck outlining forever. This can happen if you're a little nervous about actually writing the novel, or if you're the type of person who has to get everything perfect before you start. At a certain point, you need to stop outlining and start writing. Perfectionism at this stage will only delay the real work. Your outline needs only to be good enough to help you write the novel. That's where the real work begins. Pantsers can also get themselves into trouble. Sometimes a pantser will write themselves into a corner or get halfway through a story that they have no idea how to end. This is the risk you run when you don't know where your story is going before you start writing it. I'm sharing this with you just so that you know that neither method avoids every single problem, and it's about finding a method that works for you and helps you deal with those problems in the best way. There's more to consider here too. Both of these methods exist on a spectrum. For instance, plotters may plot two different levels of detail. You might only plot your setting or just your characters and pants the other elements of your story. There are some other factors that may lean you one way or the other. For example, the type of story you plan to write can affect whether it's better to plot or pants. For instance, mysteries with their tightly interconnected plot and heavy foreshadowing really lend themselves to plotting, as it can be quite hard to figure out a good mystery simply by pantsing. But that doesn't mean that you can't write a mystery by pantsing. On the other hand, something like literary fiction, something that's a little less plot-heavy, perhaps more character-driven, may be harder to plot out beforehand, as the story is going to be quite emotional and organic. Though again, there's nothing that says you can't plot a story like that. You will find authors writing every kind of book using every kind of method out there, so don't worry too much about picking the best method. Instead, find a method that works for you. As we move through the course modules on plot, setting, and characters, you'll have a better idea of what goes into a novel, and this will hopefully help you decide if it would be better to plot or pants. If you are really stuck on what method to use, then I recommend you write your first novel using an outline. It doesn't have to be super detailed, but at least lay out the major plot elements and figure out how things are going to end up. One thing that can happen when you're starting out is you may write yourself into a corner. You get partway through your novel and suddenly you're stuck. You may run out of ideas or lose interest in the story. This is where many people get into trouble and quit. Having an outline will give you an idea of where the story is going. You'll know what the next scene you need to write is. If writing your novel becomes a bit of a grind, then you'll at least have a path towards the end. This way you're less likely to stall out halfway through. At the same time, if you write from an outline and discover you really don't like it, then that's valuable information too. Remember that your goal here should be to finish your first novel. Whatever method allows you to do that is best, and it's going to take some time to figure that out. Both your novel and your process are malleable. If you create an outline that doesn't work out, when you get to drafting, it can always be changed. You can always switch to pantsing your novel if you're unhappy with the outline that you've come up with. Sometimes it's impossible to predict what will work when you're at the plotting stage, and it takes drafting the novel to figure this out. Don't worry too much about the method you select right now. Remember that this is a learning process and things may not go smoothly at the start. That's just a sign that you're working through figuring out what will work for you. I hope you enjoyed this preview of my Your First Novel program. You can get instant lifetime access to over 50 video and written lessons that guide you through every step of writing your first novel, from ideas to plot to characters and setting, all the way through to habits and mindset. You can sign up right now at the link in the video description.